Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are joining me from. This is the Good Life podcast with Princess Joy. This podcast is all about bringing you information and other tools that will make you live a good life. And today is not going to be an exception because I have a special guest that is here to dish out everything that he knows to you and I so that we can live a really good life. Welcome once again, and I want to thank you, Coach Odeyemi, for being a part of this program today. Please, can you introduce yourself to my amazing listeners?
Thank you very much, Princess Joy. It's such a delight and honor to be on the Good Life podcast. I love the Good Life, so I'm happy to be here, and I'm sure that being here will entitle me to more of the good life.
It
Thank
sure
you.
will.
So thank you for the invitation to be here. It's such a pleasure. Well, like you said, my name is Odeyemi Olayiwole. I like to describe myself as a purpose driven dreamer. I mean, I'm someone that just loves to dream of how things could be, not as they are, and it's that passion that has driven me to be a lifelong student of leadership, where I have learned the art and the science of leadership, even though my background is I'm an economist by training. But I'm a leadership development consultant and coach by training and by calling. I'm a father of three amazing teenage girls that I call my three angels.
Okay.
Married to my wife of 21 years, who has been my friend for 30 years.
Wow.
Um, and we just love doing life together. I love helping uh, establish emerging leaders, entrepreneurs, just gain clarity, get competence and confidence to live out their dreams. And I've had the privilege to do that for a few, maybe 2 to 3 decades now.
Wow, that's a very rich history and profile that you have. And I just love the word that purpose driven leadership. How did you coin that? If I may ask, purpose driven leadership.
Well, I believe that everything and everyone that God created, He created for a purpose, And for me, I think it was the year 1996. I found what I call my leadership calling, and it wasn't something I was looking for, I was desiring, but it was something I was called into. That I just discovered. So for me it's just living out that purpose that I believe God created me to do, and I believe everyone that God created, He created with a specific purpose. And
Hmm.
once you find out what that purpose is, you can be that purpose driven basketballer, purpose driven
It's
financial consultant, purpose driven cook or chef or musician, whatever it is. We're all called, and once you find that purpose, you can add that to your profile too.
that's true. Thank you very much for sharing that with us. So let me ask you one fun question. What will Olayiwole never ever do?
That's a very interesting question, Princess Joy. Uh, do I really know? There's so many things I thought I'll never do that I found myself doing them. But if you were talking about the area of ethics, um, I won't compromise my values. So I have certain values that I hold very dear to my heart. One is people first. So regardless of what I'm doing, I'm looking at the people angle of it, not just the profit angle of it. Um, so I'm caring about, how it's going to affect the people I'm serving with my product or service. So I don't think I'll give out anything that will destroy the lives of people.
Yeah. That's very good. And for me, I would say your integrity is really very important. You shouldn't compromise it for anything. Yeah, so you will never do anything that will compromise your integrity. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. So now I'll come to some nitty gritty. Managing multiple businesses can be a challenge. Managing multiple initiatives, and I know that you have come up with several initiatives that you are driving. So, how do you do that and still be able to maintain a balance in your life?
Yeah, that's a very interesting question. So, I think first of all is having a team. Once you have a team of people who believe in you and believe in what you're doing, it's much easier to handle multiple assignments or tasks or visions or missions, as the case may be. So I have been privileged to be surrounded with wonderful people who help carry the load in a lot of these different initiatives. So if you don't have a team, it might be difficult to do that. If not, you're going to burn out. So I am one who focuses on my strengths, and I try to delegate areas that are my weaknesses or areas where I'm not good at. So I think the first thing will be ensure you surround yourself with people who are multi gifted in different areas, and that gives you the leverage to diversify into many things. Once you can't get them as a team, you can collaborate with them. It becomes a partnership where it's a win-win for everybody. But for me personally, I've been blessed to have wonderful people on my team um, who help to drive the different initiatives of what we're doing.
It's often said that if you want to go far, then you must go with people. So the team definitely is important for you to drive your vision. So now, talking about how do you mentioned about you talked about purpose initially.
Mhm.
So now I
Yeah.
want to ask, identifying and developing people to find their purpose. How do you do that?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I mean, for me, first of all, like I told you, I'm someone who always sees things as they could be, not as they are. So everyone who comes into my space, I'm already seeing the big picture of what this person can be and what they can do as a result of who they become. So first of all, I'm looking at what are the natural abilities they have, what are their natural passions, what are the wins they've had in the past. So it talks about the experiences they've had. What projects are they willing to say yes to? And that naturally gives me a picture of who this person is. So, and begin to know what to begin to expose them to. So, like I said, one, I find out what your natural abilities are. What do you do naturally well? What are you passionate about? What wins have you had in the past? And once I'm able to identify those things, then it lets me know where I can help them to hone their own skills and ability to become good. I'm an economist by training, so I'm always looking at the 80-20 principle. Okay, what
Yes.
is the 20% that this person can focus on, and generate 80% of the results? I don't believe you should be a jack of all trades. So, one,
Mm-hmm.
um, what are they naturally good at? Two,
Yeah.
what are they passionate about?
Mm-hmm.
Three, what wins have they had in the past? So there has to be an alignment between those things to position people for not just good results, but great results.
Exactly. Okay, thank you very much. I listened to a podcast some time ago, and the coach said if you can identify the top 10 things that you have done effortlessly,
Mhm,
either a project, either an activity, effortlessly, that even if you do it without being paid, you are still passionate about it,
mhm.
then it means that you are gradually honing in into your purpose.
That's
So
right.
I think that aligns really with what you have said right now. So now, when we then look at every journey has hurdles,
Mhm.
in life it's never ever really straightforward. So can you just share a specific challenge you have faced while trying to build your career as you moved from economics to leadership? It definitely wasn't easy.
Mhm.
What specific experience can you share with us and the lessons that you learned so that my listeners can gain from you as well?
Yeah, I always tell people in my CV there are more stories of failure than stories of success. So I've gone through a lot to get to where I am and where I'm eventually going. But what comes to my a story that comes to my mind right now is way back in 1996. So I remember I told you that's when I received what I call my leadership calling. Even though I did go ahead. I mean, I practiced. I began in banking and all of that before I eventually had to reinvent myself to who I am and what I'm doing today. But the first thing is, once people know you for one thing, it's difficult for them to begin to see you as another thing. So the process of reinventing yourself, where um, I don't want to call it imposter syndrome, but where you struggle to identify with who you are now, because you've transitioned from one area and you're trying to build the trust of people that this is who I am now and this is what I'm doing because they've known you as something else before. And so you have to reinvent yourself. And the process of reinventing yourself is a long journey, building that credibility from one space to another space. I mean, no
Yeah,
matter how successful you are in one space, the moment you make the transition into another sector, you have to build credibility. And that takes
exactly.
time. So during that period, you're conflicted with doubt. Did I make the right decision? So I went through moments of doubt. I went through moments of disappointment and rejection where people
Yes,
didn't feel I could handle those projects or those things, because they didn't see me in that light. So I talk
exactly.
about the several D's that you face, to live your purpose. One, there's disappointment. Uh, there is a delay, there is depression, there's doubt,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
I went through all those seasons in my own life, but it takes time. So I think for me, it was just those low moments of reinventing myself and getting people to see me in this new light as that leadership consultant or coach, and
Yeah.
not who they knew me to be before.
Okay, okay. And that's where resilience come in, your ability to, weather the storm and also bounce back after all the rejections and the failure. So one must be resilient when making changes as critical as that. And can you share just one is typical experience that where you had to overcome this hurdle of somebody not believing in you at first, but later when you prove to them based on what you could do, they then accepted you.
One wonderful one. One that comes to my mind is that somebody had invited me or recommended me to their boss to speak at an event in their organization, and the boss says, "We don't know this guy. He doesn't really have any pedigree
Pedigree.
that we know." And so the
Yeah.
first year passed. They had that major event. I wasn't invited, and the second year came for the event again, and the same guy recommended me again, and the boss just said, "Well, let's just give him a chance." He agreed, and I went there, and the boss was so impressed with my delivery that we became very good friends, and he recommended me to one of my biggest clients today. Now, that
Wow.
client doubted my own capacity also, and so they delayed in contacting me. Eventually, I went to the office, had a meeting with one of the decision makers, still doubted. So we were hosting a leadership conference, and I invited this person to come for the conference. Now, the person didn't want to come, but they just came after I sent a reminder, and they came that day. And when they came into the room, you could see the shock in their face. They
Wow.
saw established leaders from the public sector, from the private sector, the military, the air force, the police. Um, uh, NTA was there, other networks were there, and all of that. He was
Wow.
even interviewed. So he said,
Wow.
okay, during the lunch break, he went to his office for a meeting, and he came back, and he passed me a note. Will you be willing to come and speak at our organization? Blah 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 blah. This was somebody who
Hmm.
was not going to give me a chance, but he came and
Yeah.
saw me in action. So
Okay.
I tell people, it's not telling people what you can do; it's showing them what you can do.
What you can do.
They
Yes.
people need to see you in action before they will buy into. your dream or your vision or whatever you're trying. They have to see you. So it's not telling; it's showing. So for me, that was a
Showing.
big lesson. Was a big lesson. Yeah.
Wow. Excellent, excellent. Yeah, so now when you come to your coaching, I'm sure you also do a bit of coaching because you are one of the in the top hierarchy of John Maxwell leadership team. Yeah, so how do you approach coaching people who are eager to start up their own businesses, become speakers, become leadership consultants? How would you advise them? How would you coach them to take up that career trajectory?
Yeah. So coaching is a very interesting place. The first gift that anyone who wants to succeed in coaching needs is the ability to listen. I always tell people that leading begins with listening. If you can be a good listener, then you can be a good leader. If you can be a good listener, then you can be a good coach also. Because coaching is the right questions. And once you're able to ask the right questions, which requires a lot of critical thinking and you being very quite deep and reflective. So, anyone who wants to succeed in that space, one, be a good listener. Two, be someone who knows how to ask questions. Good leaders ask great questions. And it's the kind of questions that you ask that will determine the answers that will emerge and give people
Yes,
awareness.
yes.
So, yeah, those are two things I would just encourage you. Learn the art of listening, active listening. Also learn the art of and the science of asking the right questions.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, though you don't really go with a script as the case may be, because the
Yes.
responses you get will determine the next set of
The next
questions
line of
that will come up.
questioning. Yeah.
That's right. Mhm.
Yeah, listening is a very important skill then for anyone who wants to do
Mhm.
this. But
That's
can you coach me for 1 minute? Let's see how that will work. If you don't mind, to show how that coaching,
sure.
listening can work. Let me put you
Okay,
on the
great.
spot.
So, Princess Joy, where do
Yes.
you see um, the Good Life podcast in the next 5 years?
Hmm. In the next 5 years, okay, when I started the podcast, I actually had a long term plan. I wanted to start small and then grow it as time goes on. So in the next 5 years, I see myself being in the homes of everybody around the world, specifically those looking at areas of financial benefits, financial control, financial freedom. So I see people who are interested in building their financial freedom, financial when planning their finances. I see my podcast being in their homes. And I also see a lot of companies in the in the financial space, putting up their adverts in my podcast so that they can also gain listeners or customers from there as well. So I hope that answers that question.
Okay, that's great. And what do you think could be an obstacle to you getting there in the next 5 years?
The main obstacle that I see is if I'm not consistent. So I need to be consistent, keep putting myself out there. Rome was not built in a day. I don't expect that I will grow astronomically within 1 year, 6 months. No, I have to be consistent. Keep doing what I'm doing. Keep putting my voice out there. Keep inviting people that we give value so that the the advertiser, so to say, can see my podcast as the first step. And also my listeners as well can come listen and they know that they will get value for what I'm bringing to them. So the obstacle
So
that I
why
see,
do you
if
think
I'm not
consistency will be an
consistent,
issue? Yeah, you
the
mentioned
time
consistent. Why do you
constraints.
think you have an obstacle of consistency?
Maybe time constraints. I see myself time constraints, and at times, maybe if I'm not getting the traction, I may want to give up. So just being resilient and whatever the situation, just keep being there and bringing the best out of every situation, making sure that all my podcasts add value to people.
So, what do you think are the options you have to ensure that you are consistent in this? If you think consistency behind, what are the options to ensure that you remain consistent to build that traction?
I should have a plan. If I have a plan for probably 6 months, to be sure that I have content, I have guests, I have information that I want to share with my people, with my listeners, that can help me to stay consistent. In addition to that, what else? I can't think of anything right now.
Okay. So, what's stopping you for putting that into writing and implementing it?
Maybe that's what I should do.
Okay, there we are. So you have your answer.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you so much. You triggered a lot of thoughts in me. I need to put my vision down and also
Mm,
have an accountability partner that can
yeah,
help me, that can push me, to
that's
make
right.
sure that I am doing what I have planned to do.
Fantastic.
Thank you very much,
You
Coach
are welcome.
Odeyemi. So now to round off finally, I want to talk about legacy.
Mm,
Legacy. What does legacy mean to you? And what legacy do you want to leave for
mm.
the people when you are no more there?
You
That
know,
they will remember you.
that's a fantastic question, and it's something I've been thinking about lately. I mean, yesterday I spent a chunk of my day thinking about legacy too. I think legacy basically is what do you want to be remembered for. I want to
Yes.
be remembered as the man who helped people discover who they are and grow to their full potential, so that when people look back, yes, that because this person came into my life, I discovered who I was, and I grew to my fullest potential because they believed in me, they supported me, and they encouraged me.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. That's powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what recommended resources? Like what kind of books, what like kind of podcasts, what kind of
Mhm.
courses will you encourage leaders, to listen to read, to grow themselves in terms of, having this growth mindset, always being in a place of learning and growing.
Yeah, that's a lovely question. I basically have a personal growth plan. It's an acronym, GROWTH, that I follow on a daily basis. The G represents what I call God time daily. I'm a person of faith, so regardless of what your faith is, I just believe that when you connect with the Creator, you become more creative. The R represents reading time daily. So any area where you want to grow to your full potential, ensure that you're reading books of experts in that field. So I'm in the leadership space. I read a lot of John Maxwell. I read a lot of Patrick Lencioni, um, people like his name has flown out of my head right now, but thought leaders in that space.
That
You know,
space, okay.
yeah, the O represents others' time. So I network at three levels: those ahead of me, colleagues, and those coming behind me. W is work. So I'm working on 20% that produces 80% daily. T is thinking time. So I have time to think every day. And the H is hearing time. So I listen to a lot
Wow.
of Harvard Business Review, Harvard on Leadership, Stanford, the Maxwell Leadership Podcast. So those are podcasts I listen to. And so the space where you want to grow will determine the resources you will feed on,
Okay.
because so when you find out, if you're business people, I will encourage you, find out who are the top 10% in that field where you want to succeed in, and find out podcasts they've spoken on, books they've written, articles they've written, and that's what you should feed on. You know, so it's
Mm,
not just like a generic meal, but it's a very specific meal because you want to grow in a specific area. Like you,
okay.
yours is the area of finance. You know,
Yeah.
yeah, so you look at those who are very successful in that field. You listen
Mm,
to their podcasts, you read their books, you read their articles, you
yeah.
attend their events, whether it's online or it's physical, and you pay to be in,
Yeah.
this, in those spaces. Yeah, so I follow my growth plan, and that has helped me to grow day by day.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for that. The growth plan is very important. And I really like the acronym GROWTH. And I like the fact that you have both thinking time and hearing time. And the God time as well. Very important.
Yeah.
So thank you very much, Coach Odeyemi. Can you just tell me where my listeners can find you on social media, LinkedIn, Facebook, so that we can connect with you and get all this useful development, personal development tips,
I'm glad you're
direct.
asking. I'm glad I have a positive answer because I never used to be on social media until back to the issue of how do you expand. A member of my team insisted I need to be on social media, and that's how
Hmm,
I got on social media a couple of years ago. But you would never find me there before. So on LinkedIn, it's Odeyemi Olayiwole.
okay.
On Facebook too, it's Odeyemi Olayiwole. Instagram, the same thing. uh, Twitter now X. So I think on all platforms you'll find me as Odeyemi Olayiwole, and I post every now and then things that I'm learning, things I'm working on, and things I've done. And I'm sure if you go there, you'll find something that is useful to you.
Well, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you very much, Odeyemi Olayiwole. It's been a pleasure having you here today, talking to us about what has helped you in your own personal journey. My dear listeners, please connect with Olayiwole Odeyemi on LinkedIn, Facebook, and all other social media platforms. It's been a lovely time with you today, and I hope that you will come back again next time on this podcast. So, thank you very much and have a good day, Mr. Olaiwole. Bye,
Thank you,
everyone.
Princess Joy, for the Good Life podcast. You're doing an amazing job. Bye. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.